The sun was setting over Earth, casting long shadows across the planet. In the capital of the World Council, a tense silence filled the massive conference room. Delegates from every nation had gathered to discuss an urgent matter. For weeks, there had been reports of strange ships appearing at the edges of Earth's solar system. Massive, unblinking vessels with designs no one had ever seen before. The galaxy, it seemed, had come knocking. "Humanity stands at the crossroads," said Counselor Elena Kavala, the brightest mind in astrophysics and one of Earth's leading scientists. Her voice was calm, but her words carried the weight of centuries. "This is not just about us anymore. This is about the survival of our future." The council members exchanged uneasy glances. The arrival of these ships meant only one thing: the Galactic Empire had come to claim Earth. A vast, powerful empire made up of dozens of alien species. Their history was one of conquest, domination, and erasure. They did not ask for permission. They simply took what they wanted. At the head of the table sat General Adrian Voss, the commander of Earth's defense forces. He was a man who had fought in countless battles, both on the ground and in the skies. His eyes, though tired, burned with the fire of a leader who would not bend to tyranny. The Empire's message was clear. Voss spoke, his deep voice cutting through the air. "They've given us an ultimatum. Submit to their rule or be destroyed." A hushed murmur rippled through the room. Submission was a word that no one on Earth had ever been willing to accept. Not after centuries of struggle for freedom. The thought of kneeling to alien conquerors was unimaginable. Counselor Raiden, a young and ambitious representative from the Eastern Union, stood up. His face was tense, but there was no doubt in his mind. "We must resist. We've built our nations on the foundation of independence, of standing on our own 2 feet. To bow to them now would undo everything we've fought for. But they are more powerful than anything we've ever encountered," said President Kendra Holt, her voice shaking slightly. "They have fleets that can wipe out entire worlds in seconds. How can we possibly fight against that?" Voss leaned forward. He understood the fear. He had seen the destruction the Empire could bring firsthand. Yet, something deep within him refused to let Earth fall to their cruelty. "We won't fight them with strength alone," he said, his tone firm. "We'll fight them with our will, our minds, and our hearts. We've faced impossible odds before and come out victorious. This time will be no different." Dr. Kavala nodded. She had spent years studying the stars, trying to understand the vastness of the universe and the forces that shaped it. "We have one advantage," she said. "The Empire is powerful, but they are not invincible. They rely on advanced technology, yes, but they also underestimate us. They see us as primitive, as just a small planet in a vast galaxy. What they don't know is that we've been preparing for this moment. Earth has resources they cannot even imagine." Voss turned to her, his interest piqued. "What do you mean?" Kavala smiled, though it was a thin, anxious smile. "In secret, Earth has been developing technology that can rival the Empire's own. It's not ready yet, but if we can buy enough time, we can complete it. I believe we have the potential to change the course of this war before it even begins." General Voss thought for a moment, considering her words carefully. "How long?" "At most, a few months," she replied. "But every day counts." President Holt's face was grave, but there was a glimmer of hope in her eyes. "Then we have no choice. We stand and fight. We refuse to kneel." The council agreed unanimously. The Empire would be met with resistance, not just from Earth's military forces, but from every citizen willing to fight for their home. As the meeting adjourned, Voss left the conference room with a heavy heart. He had just committed Earth to a war against an empire that had crushed countless civilizations. Yet, as he walked through the corridors, he couldn't shake the feeling that Earth had something the Empire didn't: the unyielding will to survive. The following weeks were filled with tension. Earth's leaders had made their decision. They would not bow to the Galactic Empire. The world watched in silence as the preparations for resistance began. The Empire's fleet lingered on the edges of Earth's solar system, waiting, watching, and sending messages demanding humanity's submission. In the heart of the World Council, General Adrian Voss and Dr. Elena Kavala worked tirelessly. Every meeting, every plan, every decision was crucial. They couldn't afford to waste time. The Cronus Array, the weapon that Earth had secretly developed, was still in the early stages of testing. But if it could be perfected, it would be the key to shifting the balance of power in humanity's favor. Dr. Kavala stood at a large terminal, her eyes scanning the data. "We're close," she said to Voss, her voice filled with both excitement and concern. "If we can just stabilize the energy readings, the array could disrupt their entire fleet's communication systems. It will cripple them." Voss nodded, though his mind was elsewhere. "But can we finish it in time? The Empire won't wait forever. They'll come for us the moment they think we're too weak to resist." "We'll finish it," Kavala replied, determination in her voice. Earth has always been at its best when it has no other choice. Elsewhere, the people of Earth were beginning to understand the stakes. Across every nation, resistance movements were forming. In every corner of the planet, citizens were quietly preparing for war. They didn't have the weapons of the Empire, nor the vast fleets, but they had something else. Something more powerful than any weapon: unity. Jorak Tan, a leader from one of the oppressed worlds under the Empire's rule, had been watching Earth's struggle with great interest. A former military officer, he had long since turned against the Empire. He saw the sparks of rebellion on Earth and knew that the time had come to reach out. "Earth's fight is our fight," Jorak whispered to his closest allies, his voice low but resolute. "We must help them, no matter the cost. If they fall, the Empire will crush all hope in this galaxy." His decision was made. Jorak contacted Earth's secret network of operatives, offering his support. He had vital information on the Empire's weaknesses, information that could turn the tide of the war before it even started. General Voss received the transmission a few days later. It was encrypted, but Voss's team had managed to break through the code. The message was clear: Earth was not alone. Jorak had already begun rallying rebel forces on his planet and others to join the fight. "We have allies," Voss said to Kavala, holding up the transmission. "They're coming to help. If we can show the Empire that we're not alone in this, we might just have a chance." Kavala studied the message closely. "If we can coordinate with them, we'll have the support we need. Earth can't win this alone, but together, we might stand a chance." The realization hit both of them at once. The war was no longer just Earth's war. It was a galactic war, one that could change the fate of countless civilizations. And Earth had just become the symbol of hope for every world that had been oppressed by the Empire. As the days passed, Earth's resistance began to take shape. Small uprisings started on planets once thought too small to matter. The Empire's forces, stretched thin by their own arrogance, struggled to respond. What they didn't understand was that the seeds of rebellion had already been planted, not just on Earth, but across the galaxy. On Earth, Voss and Kavala continued to refine the Cronus Array. Each test brought them closer to their goal, but the Empire's patience was wearing thin. The fleets loomed closer with every passing hour. Voss knew they had only a small window of time before the Empire decided to make their move. One evening, as he stood looking out over Earth from the command center, Voss saw a fleet of ships in the sky. Earth's ships, assembled and ready. In that moment, something inside him clicked. Earth wasn't just fighting to survive anymore. They were fighting for something much greater: freedom. And with that freedom, they would stand as a beacon for every world that had been silenced, crushed, and enslaved by the Empire. "We're ready," Kavala said, walking up behind him. She held a small device in her hand, the final piece of the Cronus Array. It was ready. Voss turned to her, a rare smile on his face. "We'll make them regret underestimating us." The day Earth had been preparing for had finally arrived. General Adrian Voss stood at the head of the massive command center, watching as his officers scrambled to finalize the last few details of their plan. The tension was palpable. Earth had spent weeks quietly building up its forces, making careful preparations to strike before the Empire could fully mobilize. Now the time had come to take action. "Ready the fleet," Voss said, his voice steady but filled with determination. "We don't have much time. The Empire will retaliate the moment they realize what we're doing." Dr. Elena Cavalla stood nearby, her eyes focused on a series of holographic displays. The Cronus array was still in the final stages of calibration, but it was functional enough to use in a limited capacity. This was their chance to strike first, before the Empire could launch their massive assault. "We'll hit them where they're weakest," Cavalla said, her hands moving swiftly across the control panel. "I've located an Empire outpost near the edge of their territory. It's lightly defended, but it controls a key supply line for their fleet. If we take it out, it will slow down their reinforcements and give us more time to prepare for the coming battle." Voss nodded. He had studied the intelligence reports, and he knew Cavalla was right. The outpost was critical to the Empire's plans. If they could destroy it, it would send a message to the Empire. Earth was not a planet to be taken lightly. The fleet began to assemble, a mix of military ships and civilian vessels that had been retrofitted for battle. Earth's ships were smaller than the Empire's massive warships, but they were agile and fast, perfect for hit-and-run tactics. Voss had no intention of standing toe-to-toe with the Empire's armada. This would be a surgical strike, a show of force designed to buy Earth time and prove they weren't afraid to fight. "Commence the strike," Voss ordered. The fleet leaped into hyperspace, the stars streaking by as the ships raced toward their target. The journey would take several hours, but everyone aboard knew the risks. There was no turning back. Earth had made its choice. As they neared the Empire outpost, Cavalla worked quickly to activate the Cronus array. The device was designed to disrupt the Empire's communication networks, making it nearly impossible for them to coordinate their defenses. Once it was activated, the Empire would be blind and vulnerable. Voss watched as the outpost came into view. It was a stark industrial installation floating in the cold vacuum of space. Small defense ships patrolled the perimeter, but nothing that would be able to withstand an all-out assault from Earth's forces. "All units, prepare to engage," Voss commanded, his voice calm but firm. "We hit them hard, fast, and get out before they can call for reinforcements." The attack began with a burst of energy as Earth's ships launched a barrage of missiles, targeting the outpost's shields and communication arrays. The Empire's defense ships scrambled to respond, but the surprise attack caught them off guard. Ships exploded in a flash of light as Earth's fleet tore through their defenses. In the midst of the chaos, Cavalla activated the Cronus array. A powerful pulse of energy surged through space, and for a moment, the galaxy seemed to hold its breath. The Empire's communications went dark. Ships that had been trying to coordinate a counterattack suddenly lost contact with each other, drifting aimlessly in space. Voss smiled, but it was a fleeting moment of triumph. There was still much to be done. The Empire would be furious. Their retaliation would come quickly, and it would be devastating. But for now, Earth had won a small victory. "We've done it," Cavalla said, her voice tinged with relief. "The array is working. They can't communicate. We have a window of opportunity." Voss nodded, signaling for the retreat. "All ships, fall back to Earth. We've made our point, but we're not foolish enough to stay and face their full fleet. This is just the beginning." The fleet jumped back into hyperspace, their mission a success. As they returned to Earth, the reality of what they had just done began to sink in. They had struck first. They had proven that Earth would not be intimidated. But Voss knew this was only the beginning. The Empire would not forgive this attack. They would come for Earth with everything they had. And Earth's forces, though brave and determined, were still vastly outmatched. As the fleet entered Earth's orbit, Voss stood on the bridge of his flagship, staring out at the planet below. Earth had sent a message to the galaxy. Humanity would not kneel. It was a message that would echo across the stars. The days following Earth's first strike were filled with anticipation. General Voss and Dr. Cavilla worked around the clock, preparing for the Empire's inevitable retaliation. They knew the Empire would not let this attack go unanswered, but what Earth had done was something unprecedented. They had struck first. They had shown that they would not be cowed. Back on Earth, the news of the successful raid spread quickly. Across the world, people gathered in their cities to watch the broadcasts, their hearts filled with hope. For years, humanity had lived in fear of the Empire. But now, they had something more powerful: confidence. The rebellion had begun, and Earth was leading the charge. In the heart of the Galactic Empire, the reaction was immediate. The Empire's leaders were enraged. How dare a single planet defy their authority? Their fleet, though vast, had been humiliated by a small group of human ships. It was unthinkable. "We will make an example of Earth," said the Imperial High Commander, a cold, calculating alien known only as Zoreth. His eyes burned with fury as he surveyed the reports. "Prepare the fleet. We will crush them, and anyone else who dares to rise against us." But as the Empire prepared to retaliate, something unexpected happened. Word of Earth's defiance began to spread. The Empire's grip on its far-flung colonies and vassal worlds had always been tight, but it was not unbreakable. Jorak Tan, the rebel leader from one of the Empire's subjugated planets, watched the news unfold with a mix of pride and urgency. Earth had sparked something in the galaxy, a flame of resistance that could no longer be ignored. "We cannot let this moment slip away," Jorak said to his fellow rebels. "Earth is leading the way. Now we must rise as well. The Empire's strength is not as unshakable as they believe." Jorak and his allies had spent years in secret, building a network of resistance groups scattered across the Empire's worlds. Now they saw an opportunity. They began contacting Earth's resistance leaders, offering support, weapons, supplies, and crucial intelligence about the Empire's plans. Jorak's messages were clear. Earth was not alone. The galaxy was waking up, and the Empire's hold on the stars was beginning to falter. Meanwhile, back on Earth, General Voss received a message from Jorak's network. Earth was not just fighting for survival anymore. They were leading a revolution. More and more rebel groups from across the galaxy were joining the cause, driven by Earth's bold stand against the Empire. The message was clear. The time for silence was over. The Empire's reign of fear and control was coming to an end. "We have allies," Voss said, his voice filled with a new sense of urgency. "This isn't just Earth's fight anymore. We've started a fire, and the galaxy is starting to burn with us." Dr. Cavilla nodded, her mind racing. "If we can coordinate with these rebel forces, we'll have the manpower we need to take on the Empire. We can't do this alone, but together, we stand a chance." The resistance on Earth began to grow in strength. Soldiers, scientists, engineers, and ordinary citizens. Everyone was ready to fight. Earth's ships, once a small fleet of hastily prepared vessels, now had the backing of rebel forces from dozens of worlds. Together, they began to formulate a plan to hit the Empire where it hurt the most. But Earth's actions were not without consequences. The Empire's fleet, now fully mobilized, began to move toward Earth's solar system. They were coming, and they were coming with everything they had. "We need to prepare for their full assault," Voss said as he watched the Empire's fleet approach. "This will be our greatest challenge yet, but we are no longer alone. We fight not just for Earth, but for every world that has suffered under the Empire's rule." As Earth's defenses prepared for the inevitable attack, Jorak's forces continued to sabotage the Empire's operations on other planets. Ships were delayed, communication systems were hacked, and supply lines were cut. Every strike against the Empire's infrastructure was a small victory, a reminder that Earth's defiance had sparked a rebellion across the galaxy. The people of Earth, And the people of the galaxy knew one thing for sure now. The Empire's days of unchecked power were numbered. Earth had shown them that one world, standing together, could challenge the might of the stars themselves, and it was only a matter of time before the rest of the galaxy stood with them. The calm before the storm was over. Earth's forces, bolstered by the support of rebellious planets, were prepared for the Empire's retaliation. General Voss stood in the command center, staring at the holographic map of the solar system. The Empire's fleet was on its way, vast and unstoppable, but Earth was not backing down. With every passing hour, more rebel ships arrived, each one carrying hope for a future free from the Empire's iron grip. "Reports from the outer colonies are in," Voss said, his voice steady. "The Empire is mustering its full strength. We won't have much time before they arrive." Dr. Cavilla stood next to him, her eyes glued to the screen. She had been working tirelessly on the Cronus array, ensuring that the device would be ready to fight back. "We've completed the final adjustments," she said, her voice tinged with exhaustion. "The array is at full power. It should be able to disrupt the Empire's command ships long enough to give us a fighting chance." Voss nodded, but he knew this wasn't going to be easy. The Empire had spent centuries conquering worlds, and their forces were overwhelming. But Earth had something that the Empire did not: unity. The people of Earth, and their newfound allies, were ready to fight, and they weren't afraid to die for freedom. "Prepare the fleet," Voss ordered. "We'll strike first. If we let them come to us, we'll be fighting on their terms." The ships of Earth's fleet began to assemble, and the rebel forces followed suit. Each ship was a symbol of defiance, a testament to humanity's resolve to fight for its survival. The air was thick with tension as they prepared for battle. In the dark depths of space, the Empire's fleet approached. Massive warships, their sleek forms gleaming under the light of distant stars, moved in unison toward Earth's defenses. The Empire's strategy was clear: crush Earth's resistance with overwhelming firepower. Back on Earth, the countdown had begun. Voss and Cavilla stood side by side, watching as their forces took their positions. "This is it," Voss said. "There's no turning back now." The first strike came suddenly, like a thunderclap in the silence of space. The Empire's fleet fired upon Earth's defensive lines, a barrage of missiles and energy blasts streaking through space. Earth's ships responded, launching their own weapons, their small but nimble vessels darting between the enemy's fire. It was a desperate fight, but the humans fought with everything they had. They knew what was at stake. "Activate the Cronus array," Cavilla shouted. The massive device, hidden deep within Earth's atmosphere, powered up. A brilliant pulse of energy shot into space, striking the Empire's flagship and disrupting its communication systems. The once coordinated fleet was now scattered, their ships unable to communicate with each other. "Now's our chance," Voss yelled. "Take advantage of the chaos." The rebel forces, led by Jorik's ships, charged forward, targeting the Empire's command ships. The tide of battle shifted as the rebels and Earth's fleet worked together to tear through the Empire's forces. The Empire's commanders, realizing their mistake, attempted to regain control, but Earth's ships were relentless. The battle raged on, a fierce dance of destruction, with ships exploding in brilliant flashes of light. The air was filled with the sounds of weapons fire and the roar of engines as Earth's fleet pushed forward. In the midst of the battle, a massive Imperial warship, the Vorath, appeared at the edge of the conflict. Its towering size and formidable weaponry made it the crown jewel of the Empire's fleet. Its arrival sent shockwaves through Earth's forces. "We have to take that ship down," Voss said, his voice grim. "If the Vorath joins the fight, it will tip the scales in the Empire's favor." Cavilla turned to him, her expression determined. "We've got one shot. We need to hit their engines and disable them. If we can take out their propulsion, they'll be stuck, and we'll have a chance." The fleet formed up around the Vorath, preparing for a coordinated strike. The massive ship fired on Earth's forces, its powerful cannons tearing through rebel ships. But the fleet held firm, determined to bring down their greatest foe. All units, focus fire on their engines, Voss commanded. As the ships closed in on the Vorith, Earth's fleet unleashed a powerful barrage. Energy blasts and missiles slammed into the Vorith, causing the massive ship to shake. The Empire's flagship faltered, and then, with a final burst of energy, its engines exploded in a brilliant flash. "We did it," Kavala shouted. "The Vorith is down." With the flagship disabled, the remaining Imperial forces scattered, unable to regroup. The battle was far from over, but Earth had delivered a crippling blow. The message was clear: the Empire was not invincible. As Earth's forces returned to their positions, Voss stood tall, watching the debris of the Empire's fleet float in space. The battle was a victory, but it was only the beginning. Earth's resistance had proven that even the mightiest empire could be defeated. The war for freedom had only just begun. The battle had taken its toll, but Earth had delivered a powerful blow to the Empire. The Vorith, the pride of the Imperial fleet, was gone. Its engines destroyed. The flagship drifted in space, unable to continue its pursuit of Earth. The Empire had underestimated humanity, and now they were paying the price. General Voss stood at the command center, reviewing the aftermath. The room was quiet, but the air was charged with a new sense of hope. Earth had won the first major victory, but they couldn't afford to relax. The Empire would regroup, and they would come back stronger. "We've done it," Dr. Kavala said, her voice calm but filled with relief. "We've given them a reason to fear us." Voss nodded, but his face remained serious. "This isn't over. The Empire is vast, and they won't give up so easily. But today, we've shown them that Earth is not weak. We're not a colony to be conquered." The war was far from won, but the victory was enough to shift the momentum. Rebel forces across the galaxy were emboldened, inspired by Earth's bravery. The Empire's grip on its distant worlds was weakening. And now, more than ever, people were willing to rise up. "We need to keep pushing," Voss continued. "This is our chance to unite the galaxy, to give every world a reason to believe in freedom again." As the battle continued to rage across distant systems, Jorak Tan and his rebel forces were already preparing for the next phase. With the Empire reeling from the loss of their flagship, the time had come to strike at the heart of their operations. "We've got one shot at this," Jorak said to his commanders, his voice steady but full of urgency. "The Empire will retaliate, but we can't wait for them to regroup. We have to hit their capital world before they can rebuild." Jorak's plan was simple but daring: a full-scale assault on the Empire's homeworld, where their government and military leadership resided. If they could take the capital, they would disrupt the entire Empire, potentially forcing a surrender. But it was a dangerous mission. The Empire's defenses around their capital were nearly impenetrable, and the risk of failure was high. Still, Jorak knew that this was the moment they had been waiting for. The galaxy was shifting, and Earth had sparked a fire that could no longer be contained. This was their chance to end the war, to force the Empire to face the consequences of their actions. "We're ready," one of his commanders said. "We have the resources. We have the strength. The Empire's time is running out." Back on Earth, General Voss received word of Jorak's plan. The stakes were higher than ever, but Earth had no intention of sitting idly by. With the Empire on the ropes, Earth's forces were ready to join the rebellion's final push. They would fight alongside Jorak and the other rebel leaders, bringing the war directly to the heart of the Empire. "We need to prepare," Voss said, his voice resolute. "If we're going to strike at their capital, we need everything we've got. The rebels are counting on us. This is the moment we've all been fighting for." The people of Earth were no longer the underdogs in this fight. The victory over the Vorith had proven that they could stand toe-to-toe with the Empire. And now, with the rebel forces rallying around them, they would fight for the future of the galaxy. Dr. Kavala continued her work on the Cronus array, knowing that its power would be critical for the coming assault. The device had already proven its worth in disrupting the Empire's communications, but if they were to strike at the Empire's heart, they would need to enhance it further. "We're close," she said, her eyes focused on the array's readings. "Once we've upgraded the array's output, we'll have the power to disable their entire planetary defense network." The urgency in her voice was clear. Time was running out. The Empire would not allow this rebellion to go unpunished. But Earth's resolve was stronger than ever. They had fought back against impossible odds, and now they had a real chance to win. As Voss and Kavala finalized their plans, the fleet began to assemble. Rebel ships from all corners of the galaxy, their crews eager to strike the Empire's capital, were ready to move. It was the largest military force Earth had ever seen. They weren't just fighting for survival anymore. They were fighting for the freedom of every world under the Empire's rule. "This is it," Voss said, standing on the bridge of his ship, looking out at the vast fleet. "We fight for the future. We fight for all of us." The fleet's engines roared to life as they jumped into hyperspace. The galaxy was about to witness the most daring assault in its history. Earth had become the heart of the rebellion, and with it, the spark of hope that could change the galaxy forever. The journey through hyperspace felt like an eternity. Earth's fleet, now fully united with rebel forces from across the galaxy, raced toward the heart of the Empire. General Voss stood on the bridge of his flagship, his eyes fixed on the stars ahead. This was it, the final assault. The Empire's capital lay just beyond the next jump, and with it, the hope of all the oppressed worlds. "Everyone's ready, General," Dr. Kavala said, her voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. "The Cronus array is fully operational. We'll have a chance to disable their planetary defenses before they even know what's happening." Voss nodded. He could feel the weight of the moment pressing down on him. This was more than just a military operation. This was the turning point of the war, the moment that would determine the future of the galaxy. "We strike fast and hard," Voss said. "We don't give them a chance to recover. Once we land the first blow, we move quickly. The longer we stay, the more risk we face." The fleet emerged from hyperspace just outside the Empire's capital system. The sight that greeted them was both awe-inspiring and terrifying. The capital planet was surrounded by a massive defense network, orbital stations, fleets of warships, and thousands of automated defense drones. It was a fortress in space, one that would be nearly impossible to breach. "Begin the assault," Voss ordered, his voice calm but filled with determination. The first wave of attacks came from Earth's fleet and the rebel forces. Their ships swarmed the outer defenses, dodging laser fire and missile blasts. The Empire's defense stations responded, but Earth's ships were faster, more agile. They weaved in and out of the fire, hitting the station's weak points with precision. In the chaos, Dr. Kavala activated the Cronus array. A pulse of energy shot out from the device, disrupting the Empire's planetary defense grid. For a moment, everything went dark. The Empire's fleets were blind. Their automated defense systems faltered, leaving them vulnerable. "This is our window," Voss said. "All units, focus on their fleet. Take out their command ships. We can't let them regroup." The rebel forces followed Earth's lead, attacking with everything they had. Their combined firepower was overwhelming. The Empire's ships began to crumble under the assault. The sky above the capital planet erupted in a symphony of explosions, debris, and fire. But the Empire wasn't finished yet. Their flagship, the Kexarath, remained intact, and it was rapidly closing in on Earth's fleet. This massive warship was the heart of the Empire's defenses, and without it, the rest of their forces would fall apart. "We need to take down the Kexarath," Kavala said urgently. "It's their last line of defense. If we don't disable it, they'll turn the tide against us." Voss gritted his teeth. "We've come too far to back down now. Prepare the strike force." A group of Earth's most skilled pilots and rebel soldiers boarded specialized assault ships, and flew directly toward the Xarath. They knew this was a suicide mission, but it was the only way to ensure victory. With their ships zooming toward the massive warship, they launched a series of coordinated attacks, targeting the Xarath's weak spots. The battle was intense. The Xarath's powerful weapons fired relentlessly, but the assault ships dodged and weaved through the fire. One by one, they launched missiles and bombs, tearing through the outer defenses of the flagship. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, a well-placed explosion rocked the Xarath, causing its shields to collapse. "We've got it," one of the pilots shouted over the comms. The Xarath began to drift, its systems failing as the final blow was delivered. The Empire's command structure was shattered, and their fleet faltered. The remaining Imperial ships, without guidance, were easily picked off by Earth's forces and the rebels. The Empire's capital was no longer the impenetrable fortress it once was. Earth's combined forces had done the impossible. They had broken through the heart of the Empire. As the battle subsided, Voss stood on the bridge, staring at the crippled remains of the Empire's fleet. His heart was pounding, but there was a sense of triumph in the air. "We did it," Kavala said, her voice soft but filled with awe. "It's over." Voss nodded, his eyes scanning the remnants of the battlefield. The war was not won with a single battle, but today, Earth had proven that it could stand against the might of the Empire. They had shown the galaxy that freedom was worth fighting for, and that no matter how powerful an empire might be, it could always be brought down by the courage of those who refused to kneel. As Earth's fleet returned home, the people of the galaxy began to celebrate. The Empire's reign of terror was over. The galaxy was free once more, and Earth had led the charge. For General Voss, Dr. Kavala, and all those who had fought, the victory was more than just military success. It was the beginning of a new era. The stars had witnessed their bravery, and now the future was theirs to shape.